Hey, everybody, Brad Linder back at you again for another session of Bradley Linda making comics and creating comics. So we can do this live as a sketch card for you. We're going to be coloring this up tonight with some Copics and some Sharpies, believe it or not. I'm just going to take a second and share this over with the page so we can get this knocked out. And it's probably not going to take too long because it's going to be an 80s, a 70s, 80s style Silver Age flat color. So it shouldn't be much of a problem, I don't think. But we'll see how it goes. And there we go. Cool deal. Now, oh, I almost reloaded it. Okay, we've got that shared over with everybody so we can check that out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with the lipstick color first, which this is Carol Danvers. I did a little bit of research on this. This is Carol Danvers, the original Ms. Marvel for the Marvel Universe. I did not realize it was the same character. I did a little research on it, and it came out in '79. They did a '70s series on her. I just wanted to see what was going on. Excuse me, and I think I got that date wrong. I'll have to check for you real quick. It came out in '77. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's '77. It premiered in January. So they were trying to make her a sidekick, female interest of Captain Marvel at the time, and it didn't work out the way they wanted to because it just didn't hold the ratings for them to get together. They designed her too independently, I think, and it came out to be a great character. I mean, I really love those old books. I've got a few of them now because I went out and got them, so we got that going on. But when I do research on these things, I do research on these things. I mean, it's just I had to do due diligence here to make sure of what we were getting into before I started commenting on it, and that's where it came out. So good deal. I've got to tip this brush here because this is a new one. It's E21. It's called Baby Skin Pink, and I wanted it to match up to her perfectly, so I wanted to use a new one. And out of this particular massive set of Copics I have, which I've been very blessed with, some of them I haven't used yet, and there's certain colors that just haven't come up yet. And as with anything that we use artistically, but it was one of those things where I just had to go off and try the new pen here to test it out, and it is, whoa, it is massive. Thank goodness I'm coloring that blue and red, and that's her arm there, because sometimes these things bleed over. Uh-oh. I'm going to switch because this one's going to bleed. I'm going to give that a second to rest. I'm going to go back in and do the hair here before I wipe out the whole thing. But this is dark blue, and this is red, and this is red, so this will match up fine. I'm not worried about that. I'll show you how to do a Copic cover. I do those all the time. Sometimes these things bleed out, and it happens. This is a perfect example of how to cover that up whenever you get to it. Okay, so I'll do that and show you guys how to do overflow coverage, and it'll be a perfect training video. But that's why I don't freak out, because I've done that before. It's not a biggie. So you just go and overlap it and shade it up really nice and even, and it'll wash right out. No biggie. I sweat nothing. No problem. So been there, done that. But anyway, it's a funny distraction that cracks me up. But yeah, I just did a little bit of research on this character. Now, the there are actually 4 of them. Okay, there are the 2 new ones. There's Carol Danvers. There's Carol Danvers Return, and then there is the character known as the Female Thing, and she called herself Ms. Marvel for a little while, which I found a little odd, but whatever. You find out things like that. And excuse me. Now thinking about it, I I found it very interesting because of the fact that I remember reading some of those comics when they came out, and I remember it freaking me out because I didn't realize why she was calling herself, you know, the female thing was calling herself Ms. Marvel for a little while when she was in her human form and still had her strength, because Reed was helping her convert back, and that was a big deal at the time, and I couldn't figure out why she was in human form and why she called herself that. But now I know. She took on the persona of her own version of Ms. Marvel for a while, so that's why. And it wasn't to pay homage or to represent this character. It's just that there wasn't one in the universe right at the time, and she decided to call herself that because it was available and liked the name and wanted to set the new standard of what Miss Marvel actually was. So I don't know how that worked out. I haven't read the storyline and done the research on her branch yet, but that's the reason why she called herself that. So she took it upon herself to do that. I found that very fascinating that they actually let that slide, but apparently they did, and thought it was cool. Well, whatever. You know, that's a Marvel thing, so they're going to do whatever they want to do as far as that goes. But instead of going crazy with this one, this flesh color here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change up and do the blue first, so we can get that done. And that is the edge of the collar there. And the way she's folded this up, you won't be able to see much because her arms are up and whatnot. But she has blue glows. They change, by the way. Sometimes they're blue, sometimes they're red. Depends on the colorist and depends on the power she has for the uniform. I noticed that as well. They're not just straight up red or blue. The stripe is on there and it'll change, and it's just, yeah, sometimes they're blue, sometimes they're red. I did a little research on it, and like I said, a couple of books that I have, they change up just to meet whatever. It's like they had more red or more blue that day, and they just wanted to do it that way. So I was like, okay, cool, whatever. I'm not going to knock it. She's got 3 different uniforms that she wore, particularly before the modern age version of her return. So whatever. I'm cool with it. I'm not going to fight it. Now we got this blue strip in here going on. And see, it's going to go right over that. All that red's going to go right over that. So it's going to go right away. I'm not even sweating it at all. And the shoulder's going to be nice and clean and blue. Now, she got her powers just like Captain Marvel did. So it was the Kree technology and Kree genetics that changed her and gave her her powers. So that's where that comes from. And I found it interesting to see what all this ran with, because what they did basically was they took humans and said, okay, this is what we need. We need you to fight in the universe with us against whatever's going on, and basically made them a Marvel version of a Green Lantern. I hate to say that, but it's true. It is true. Oh, I forgot to outline the mask. Sorry about that. But it is 100% true. It is their version of a cross between Shazam and, you know, coming from aliens instead of mythical gods. And then they got their powers from aliens out in space, which is also going to come off of a version of, like I said, a Green Lantern type of thing. And now I have to black that out because I hit that eye. But watch this. I'll go in, I'll slim this eye down. Just right there in the corner. No biggie. And cut this one back just a little bit to make it match up and scale. There we go. Cool deal. Done. Ta-da. Yeah. So that's what I get for using new colors tonight. It's okay. It really is. It's all right. So I'm going to try this with this skin tone on her legs again and see if I can get this done really quick. I'm just going to kind of go in real fast, because when markers have this kind of ink going on and they start to bleed out like that, you have to work fast with them and use them like a oversaturated brush. And the only way to work the kinks out of that is to pull it back and use it. So we got that going on. Cool deal. Done. All right. Oh, I forgot her face. Most important part, and I forgot it. There we go. Cool. Now I'm going to go in here with the red, and this will be the fun part, and then we'll finish this up. So, because this Sharpie is, it's broken in okay. I think it's going to be all right, but it may run amok on me. I don't know. I'm having one of those days apparently. I'm just glad it did it on this card and not on one of my pages today. That would have been a bummer, because the card I can correct. It's such a thick stock, I can correct it. But once it's on the page, though, it shows up in reproduction and scans for the prints. So it's just like, blah, now I got to redo it. And I'll tell you, I know a lot of guys will still do it anyway, but I tell you what, modern whiteout is not like using opaquing paint of yesteryear, as it were. Okay. They didn't used to use whiteout. Okay, there was no such thing as whiteout back, you know, in the 60s, 70s, and 80s when these things were primed. There was a whiteout out there, but it was always paper thin. It was never strong enough. You know, it was used for like typing and stuff like that, but it wasn't used for graphic design because it wasn't thick enough. It wasn't thick enough to cover that India ink. It would show through. So if you ever do artwork on these pages, if you find a whiteout that works, that's awesome. I've found gel pens and stuff that work from occasion, and I've found some whiteout pens that work okay. But I'm going to tell you firsthand, you're going to want to try to avoid that, because if you mess it up, just go ahead and paint over it or redo it. You know, the page can be redone with no problem, and I would recommend redoing it, because you're just going to mess it up worse and worse and worse and worse as it goes. So, and I like these little embellishments on there whenever they show up. These little nicks like this, especially in a classic character like this, it's kind of a deal that you can get forgiven for by proxy, because of the fact that it's got the leniency to have it done, because you're used to those old comics having those overflow colors and things like that, where you would paint them with brushes and miss. So, you know, I think it gives it kind of a nostalgia look to do that. So, whatever. But we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I won't trash this, because there's nothing on here that hasn't been repairable just yet. And I have a super light yellow I'm going to go in with here before I do the rest of her. I want to get this in up here, and I wanted that to tilt down at the bottom to look like it was kind of orange, so that it would cover up her chest a little bit, and go down onto that rib cage and look like it was being shadowed. So that's why I did that. So you can make use of some things that would be considered mistakes at some point and just change it up a little bit more. I like to do that a lot. So, I mean, like I said, I adapted the eyes, no biggie. I adapted some of the other stuff as well, so it's fine. Don't take it so personal that you just think the piece is ruined. But like I said, sometimes you just have to start over. So I'm going to say hi and see how everybody's doing. Hey, Mr. Jim O'Reilly made it. Hey, buddy. Jackie, hello. How are you doing? Johnny, paying attention over there. I like that, man. I haven't seen Travis on here in ages. Hey, Travis, appreciate you coming on, man. It's been like, I think you popped on and last like 5 or 6 cards ago. Has it been that long? And it's been a while, man. It's been a while. But I don't leave the false whites either. A lot of people like to leave these false whites like that. You know, they'll color up and leave the false white in the coloring. And I don't like doing that either. I would rather the color be flat than have to worry about it being mucked up with different whites and variations and highlights and all that. Because 9 times out of 10, you'll put them in the wrong spot anyway. And then in the end of it, you'll have to go color them back up anyway. So just mark them out, get them done, and move on. And let the piece speak for itself, especially being colored in like this. Because, like I said, it's got a nostalgia feel to it. And I get asked all the time just to color flats and leave this, leave it alone. Do monochromatic coloring and just run with it and leave it alone. Run with it as far as that goes in the comic page and knock it out and make it look old school and then move on. And I find that it works for me. It really does, because I was raised on those comics, as I know a lot of you were. There's a lot of that stuff that is coming back that just didn't exist for the longest time since I guess, it would be circa 1993 or 4 when all that started and really got big. 92 is when they started coloring with Image, and then 93 is when they took off with all their 80,000 books and their coloring patterns and stuff. And it got really weird. So, with that said, though, here she is. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab another color. I think I'm going to grab a nice orange because this will contrast with her very well. So I think we'll be able to do that and get this knocked out. So let's see. Pop on and knock this out this way. And you know what? I'm going to go right up to the edge anyway. I'm just going to go right in there. I'm not going to highlight it with a white line or anything like that. I think I'm just going to color straight down, old school, direct contact, and go that way and knock it out. Hey, Bart. Let's see. I think we can get it done. Just kind of lining this out just a little bit. Really quick here. And, she kind of reminds me of the mom from the Goldbergs, which is kind of creepy. But, because no offense to that actress, but I don't find her attractive. But that hairstyle just reminds me of that, and it's just kind of, I guess it's a sign of the times. It's the same hair, from the 70s, 80s kind of time period. But I do not like that haircut. I don't. And those massive sweaters that the Goldbergs wear. If you've ever seen that show, they wear family same matching sweaters all the time. And whenever they go out in the summer, they wear matching clothes as well. That was a big thing. I miss 80s music, but I don't really miss... I miss a lot of 80s pop culture, but I don't miss the yuppie scene at all. Of course, I was a kid then, so it doesn't really matter to me, but I was old enough to remember, And boom, got it. Now I got to rotate my tip here because I'm wearing it out. Okay, now we've got her all colored up, and I think that's going to be a great card. Awesome. Excellent. So with that one done, that's another one down. We've got 9 more days before we finish this all up with the sketch card series of the sketchbook. But like I said, I will be continuing on the show, just not 7 days a week. Okay, I'll probably be doing it 3 or 5 days a week instead. That way we can get into other stuff and I can get some things moved around, because I've got comic books and products coming out and I need to get that stuff moving for my business. I love doing this series and I still love hanging out with you guys. I still will be around all the time. You'll see me posting stuff every day, no matter what. But I just want to get a move on more of the comic books that I have in the lineup that I have to get out. So anyway, I appreciate it. We did this photo style, so he's got the big headshot with the little body part, action shot in front. So like I said, sports card style. And that's it for me tonight. I hope you guys dig it. And as always, we have this big rock for a limited amount of time, so let's rock it out. And remember to set aside something for the next generation. I will talk to you tomorrow. Take care.